Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bo-Katan squad for noobs. This is one that's been conspicuously absent from my roster of squads for noobs videos. And since it's such a relevant team right now and such a great value to farm, it's high time that I get into it. So we're going to be going over the kits, starting with Bo, all the way down to OG Bo, Bo-Katan Grease. We're going to talk about all those abilities, Zeta Order, Omicron Order, Relic Order, mods, my mods, opponents' mods, use cases, and what beats them. So let's get into it. So the Bo-Katan team is a very durable, very resilient team that's all about gunning down one target at a time, mostly through Bo, taking her turns or assisting, doing a lot of true damage, or Bam, kind of getting a bunch of whistling birds going. Paz does some damage, but it's mostly all about feeding Bo to do damage. Instead of starting with the leadership, I'm going to start with looking at her second special, because we have the description of Ancestral Resolve, which is very key to her kit. So this one is the Mass Swarm, physical damage to target enemy, dispel all debuffs from all light side allies. You gotta love kits now. It's like everything does a million things. Everyone is attacking, plus everyone is dispelled. It's great. 50%. They assist twice, no less, dealing 50% less damage, and they all gain 3 stacks of Ancestral Resolve, which says it goes up to 100, but I've seen it over, so I don't know. And that buff gives you 2% defense and 1% max health. Whenever the character deals true damage, they deal additional true damage based on the number of stacks. So this is mainly helping for Bo and Bam with his whistling birds. So very important buff to the team. The Omicron is extra stacks of Ancestral Resolve, and if someone wasn't able to assist, they get a bonus turn. I'll talk about Omicrons later. Next, we're going to talk about the lead. We're going to read it without the Omicron. Light side Mandalorian allies gain 40% defense, max health, and offense. So great stats to have. Taking less damage, having more hit points, and doing more damage. Light side Mandos gain 5% defense, up to 30 for each debuff on them, which isn't super impactful, but it adds up. She's got a lot of other defensive boosts too. Whenever a light side Mando ally deals true damage, dispel a debuff, or resists a debuff, all light side Mando allies gain a stack of Ancestral Resolve, and I think it's going to be increased with the Omicron. So there's multiple ways to get it. There's that special resisting debuffs, dispelling a debuff, and dealing true damage. Until the end of the encounter. That's a locked buff. Whenever an ally attacks an enemy with Armor Shred, all light side Mandalorian tank allies taunt for 1 turn. So that's going to be Pause, but he turns into Resilient Defense. I'll tell you that ahead of time. And then for Mand'alor, Bo-Katan's unique. She gets a locked tenacity up for 1 turn at the start of each encounter. She's got 10 speed for each stunned light side Mando ally, and deals true damage from Her true damage from Ancestral Resolve is tripled. And then it's then doubled again against enemies with bonus protection. So Lord Vader is one of those characters that gets bonus protection. It's partly why she's so effective, because she takes care of it really quick. Not just Lord Vader, his old clone team. If all allies were light side Mandos, she takes reduced damage from percent health effects. So like the Malik treatment, recovers 50% health when an ally is defeated for the first time. She also has 50% defense for each debuff on her, and then another 200% defense stacking for each light side Mando ally who has not yet been defeated. So that's like 800 defense at the start. So she is very tanky. The defense is huge. So usually when you're fighting a Bo-Katan, I don't know. I don't see her much on defense. It's either like you're dealing with her with true damage, or you're getting to her, later on in the lineup. And then the Omicron is going to add, she's immune to daze. While I was for light side Mando, she ignores taunt. When an ally is defeated for the first time, she gets 20% of the max health and offense. I don't think that's the most important one. But it's still something. The leader Omicron, I forgot to share. Light side Mando allies gain 50% mastery, which is quite nice. Max health and 30 speed, and then their tank allies taunt. If there are other active enemies, the first light side Mando that is defeated, each battle is revived and recovers 50% health and protection. Light side Mando allies gain 1 extra stack of Ancestral Resolve whenever a light side Mandalorian ally deals true damage, dispels a buff, or resists a debuff. So it basically doubles the pace of getting Ancestral Resolve, which is quite nice. You're just very durable with that, and then it's also increasing her true damage quite a lot. And she also does true damage on her basic, physical and true damage. So she can crit and get crit damage, but you mainly want to focus on offense with her. It can't be evaded, dispels all buffs, and then light side Mando allies gain speed of her 2 turns if it is her turn. Then our first special, physical damage to target enemy, inflict armor shred till the end of the battle, deal an additional instance of true damage to target enemy, which can't be evaded, and stun them for a turn. If Bo is debuffed, deal true damage an additional time, so that's twice, which can't be evaded, otherwise reduce the cooldown of this ability by 1. So armor shred's nice, but mainly the damage you're doing with Bo is true damage. Yes, you are going to get that normal physical damage that can crit. I don't run a crit damage triangle on her. She gets some extra from her mastery, but it's mainly that true damage. And so the armor shred, it helps everyone else that's coming in, but it's mainly her and Bam, like I talked about, doing the damage. So her basic is great. I mean, the Dispel is fantastic. This is the big money maker. You're basically trying to line up your big hits. With this, I usually try to save it for when Bam is in his Whistling Bird stance to get him up to 20 fast. And then this, if we really need a stun, or if we need someone that has high defense, and basically I just kind of spam that special. If I'm saving this and this is available, I just go with Armor Shred, even though she's mainly doing true damage. But that's Bo's kit, and we'll look at how everyone else fits in because there's a lot of support around her. She is the engine of the team. And probably the biggest support to Bo is IG12 and Grogu. So I showed Paz in the second slot, but I do think IG12 is the one that's always there. So if you're talking 3v3, it's always Bam, or not Bam, Bo-Katan, IG, and then one other. It's either Bam or Paz. Just depends on the use case. But you always want IG12 and Grogu, because IG12 and Grogu is a huge enabler to the damage by Bo-Katan. So we're going to look at it without the Omicron. If Bam is an ally, IG12 and Grogu gain the Scoundrel tag. So that's why Bam, when they use their protective move, they can put damage immunity on IG12 and Grogu, even though they don't have an actual Scoundrel tag. In fact, they only have Mandalorian tag and Healer tag. I don't know why they don't have Droid. Go figure. But they can be protected by Bam. IG12 has plus 100% counter chance, so they're always countering. For each light side mana at the start of the battle, they gain 20% max health. That's a big theme with this team. You want a lot of health with everybody, for the most part, instead of protection. Because Ancestral Resolve, and then, all kinds of stuff. There's healing. It's great. At the start of IG12's turn, all light side Mando allies recover 10% max health. If they're at full health, they get offense up and protection up, and for 1 turn instead. Whenever IG uses a special ability, call a random other light side Mando to assist, gaining additional effects depending on the ability used. So this is where you would love it to always be Bo, but you can't always control it. The second special is going to target who's going to assist. The first special is not, so it's completely random, but there's multiple assists going on. So if it's yes, I love the ability names too. If it's the yes ability, their first special, the assisting ally reduces their cooldowns by 1. And of course, you can't choose that ally. It's just a lucky bonus. No. That's the second special. It's a mass dispel. The assisting ally deals 20% more damage and assists again. And then IG12 is a passive character. If they're the only one left, they escape. So let's look at no. This is my favorite move. This is most of the time my opener. It's a full buff dispel. It's a targeted assist, so you call Bo to assist. And here's where Bo can attack 3 times. If you're going to target Bo with this, you should. So she'll assist at least once. If she's chosen to be the second assister, she'll attack like 3 times. In 3v3, this happens a lot more. And in 5v5, it can happen too. So you'll get at least 1 assist with who you choose, and then 2 extras, so it can be 3 total. You inflict blind and daze on all enemies for 2 turns, which can't be evaded. It can be resisted though. Dispel all buffs from all enemies and stun target enemies for 1 turn. So that's a fantastic move. Just clear out all the buffs. IG's kit is refreshingly short in a lot of ways. So the first special is a heal move. The weakest ally and target ally dispel all debuffs from themselves and recover health equal to 30% of IG's max health. All allies gain defense up for 2 turns. So this is where it can kind of get confusing if you're not paying attention to how the kit works. You're targeting someone, but you're not getting them to assist necessarily. With yes, you could heal someone and a random other character comes to assist. It doesn't matter. No. You are going to get at least 1 assist from your target, but then there's going to be 2 other assists from from 1 character. So it's confusing. And then no, the basic, it's inflict healing immunity, which is great. can't be evaded or resisted, so it's irresistible. Healing immunity, which is always nice. Call a random light side Mando ally to assist, dealing 50% less damage. If it's IG12 in Grogu's current inflict ability block, can't be evaded or resisted, or remove the damage penalty from the assisting ally. So out of turn, it's going to be 50% less damage. During IG's turn, no damage penalty. So this one is another random call to assist. And it's not from the unique, because this is all about special abilities, not the basic ability. So whatever ability you have, someone's going to assist. I think the best one is no. But you also have that strategic heal. Just a great character. You don't care that they do no damage, because Bo is the one that's who it's all about. Next, we got Paz, who is either the third or fourth character. Sometimes you want Bam, sometimes you want Paz. I think he has the most confusing kit. I think people lose track of it. At least I do. Maybe it's just me, but I think it's easy to lose track of. First of all, you're going to see heat and overheat everywhere, so let's look at that first. Heat is 10% potency per stack and additional abilities. That's going to be seen in each individual ability. Overheat, so we can get 10 stacks of heat, and then after that, he's getting overheat, and it'll get up to 20, which is an extra 10% offense and minus tenacity per stack, and then extra effects. He's got a TB Omicron. I don't really know if anyone really goes for that much. Maybe someone does. But at the start of the battle, Paz gain 10% defense and max health for each other Mando ally, and 15% defense and max health for each other light side Mando ally. So that would be 25 on a normal BAM team, or a Bo-Katan Mand'alor team. Whenever Paz gains taunt, he dispels it and gains resilient defense instead until the end of the encounter, but it just gets dispelled when you get hit. That's just how resilient defense works. Paz has 10% crit avoidance and defense for each resilient defense stack he has. At the start of the encounter, if the ally is a light side Mando, so BKM, Paz gains Frenzy for 2 turns, which is 100% turn meter whenever someone else does a special, so he's going to jump in line a lot. And then 2 stacks of resilient defense, so basically a pre-taunt. Whenever Paz loses resilient defense, he gains 1 stack of heat, max 10, like I said, until the end of the battle. At 10 stacks, he starts to get overheat instead for any of those abilities. And whenever he gains overheat, he gains 10% turn meter, so he gets to jump in line a lot of turn meter. Whenever he's inflicted with a debuff that can be dispelled, he gets another 5% turn meter, so he's going to get turn meter quite a lot. First time he reaches 1% health, he dispels debuffs on himself, recovers 100% health. It's damage immunity and takes a bonus turn. So this is what I call his spite move. If he's dying, he gets down low. And you don't have like an insta-kill or something, or he's not stunned. He's saying, okay, you can't kill me. I'll die myself. But before I do, I'm going to hit you hard. Does his bonus turn, and other light side Mando allies get plus 100% or recover 100% protection. And during this bonus turn, his cooldowns are reset. He has 100% offense, and his heat and overheat stacks are set to max. So it feels like it does a lot more damage when you get to it. First special, deal physical damage to everyone, inflict breach and crit damage down. You get 5 stacks of heat, so the second time you get at least the max, or overheat until the end of the battle. 1 stack of resilient defense, and Mando allies recover protection equal to 10% of his protection. At 5 stacks of heat, light side Mando allies get crit avoidance up, which is like 50% crit avoid. At 10 stacks of heat, inflict daze on all enemies, and at 5 stacks of overheat, remove 15% turn meter from all enemies. So that and this special just depends. I tend to go for this one for one particular reason. So this is an AoE, inflicts burning, and then expose and burning is on everyone. Expose and staggers on target enemy for 1 turn, but he gets protection up 50% and retribution for 2 turns. So I typically prefer to go with this one just to get that protection up. Make sure we're not getting to his actual hit points first, and then the retribution is great. And the ability does 30% more damage for each stack of overheat he has, which is why when he does his spite move, the AI is going to use that, and you probably should too. On his basic, it's a triple hit and gets 3 stacks of heat or overheat. At 5 stacks of heat, you're going to get a stack of resilient defense. And once you're at overheat, you do an additional instance of true damage, which can't be evaded. So that's nice, combined with the Ancestral Resolve and the Bo-Katan abilities, where the true damage adds up and does a lot more. So Paz is also getting in on the true damage action. When he's assisting, it's going to be a lot of instances of damage. But you kind of like use these back and forth when they're available. I like I said, I go for the second one first, and then the first one second. But he's not a damage dealer per se until the end. He doesn't do like nothing, but he's not like your main damage dealer. He's just there to take a bunch of punches for the most part. Don't get too caught up on the heat. I don't know. I mean, the heat overheat mechanics. Just use what you have available. I mean, the best thing about it is once you have 10 stacks of heat, you do days with this move. So I don't know, something to think about. And either third or fourth, we have Beskar Armor Mando, which is kind of a sad state for a journey guide character, a hero's journey character. He's just kind of a sideshow to Bo-Katan Mand'alor. So his biggest threat, he's kind of a frustrating character to use. Really doesn't do much unless he's under Bo-Katan. His discipline setup, this is the Whistling Birds move. He gains a stack of Whistling Birds. If you have the level maxed out, it's up to max 20. And he can use Swift Takedown the next time he uses an ability. Basically, when anyone takes damage, he gets another stack of Whistling Birds. He can't assist or counter when he's in this stance, which I kind of hate. He ignores stealth and taunt when he actually gets to use the move. So you use this. The setup is, you go into the stance, often called the poop stance, and then Bo-Katan does her mass swarm. You do a lot of damage on someone, and then he gets up to 20 really quickly. And once you do Swift Takedown, it's just an instance of true damage for each stack of Whistling Birds you have. It's also healing immunity. And then there's part of it's going to be an AoE. Deal true damage to target enemy for each stack of Whistling Birds. And then if the target enemy is defeated, it moves on to the next weakest ally. There's one instance to everyone, and then healing immunity to everyone, and then the big targeted move. So if like someone's really weak, you can still target them. You're not going to waste all the damage. It's going to pass out throughout. So that's a big 1-2 punch is Bo-Katan's Mass Swarm, and then you use the Swift Takedown on Lord Vader or something, or it's a permakill. Like, you can't be revived from it, so that's a nice use of it. Next, I'm going to look at Wonder of the Force. This is a dispel all debuffs on Scoundrel allies and equalize protection. Unfortunately, on this team, it's just him, IG12, and then OG Bo. So in 3v3, it's just him and IG12 if you choose to use BAM. So Bo-Katan and Paz don't benefit. Remove 20% turn meter from all enemies, can't be evaded. And then he gives damage immunity to himself and the target enemy, and tenacity up. So the ability starts on cooldown. It's a cooldown of 4, but it's unique as long as you have the Zeta, I think. Once a Scoundrel ally falls below 75% health, he takes a bonus turn, dispels his debuffs, and he can use that ability right away. It resets the cooldown. And then otherwise, he's immune to ability block and has 40% extra potency and tenacity. So his main value is you kind of want to be choosy when to go into the discipline setup for the Whistling Birds. If you know you're going to get a mass swarm or get a chance for a kill shot, it doesn't have to be mass swarm. Pause does a lot of instances of damage, so it can juice them up. So you either do that, but if you do that and someone gets hurt really bad and you would like to use Wonder of the Force, you can't. You get he takes a bonus turn, you're forced to use it, and then you have barely any stacks, so you got to be choosy. And then you kind of kick the can, you kind of punt, take a pass, and just use his basic, which kind of sucks. Physical damage, inflicts damage over time, and if they're debuffed, attack again. It's a bad basic. It is nothing exciting or special. It's just you're passing on discipline setup. So that's why I don't really like how he is designed as a character, because it's either you set up for a big hit, or you do basically nothing, or you wait around to bail someone out. So that's how BAM works. And then the final member of the team is just kind of like a sandbag. She's just sitting there. She doesn't do much except for her unique, which is fantastic. Mandalorian allies gain 20% max protection for each Mandalorian ally until the first time she's defeated. So that's 100% extra max protection. And then whenever a Mando ally stacks out of turn, which is very frequently, Mando allies recover 8% health and protection. So the Bo-Katan Mass Swarm, I frequently love to use that as the final move if I can manage it, because at least in 5v5, because everyone's coming in, we're healing basically up to full health. 3v3, the team really struggles to recover health and protection, unfortunately. The other thing she's good for is she has an AoE buff dispel that also can do daze. It feels very inaccurate though. Like it's one of those moves where it feels like I miss a lot, even if they don't have foresight or I don't have blind. I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaking it, missing foresights constantly, but it feels like it's inaccurate. And then her basic can inflict vulnerable if it's her turn. Otherwise, it's doing extra damage. She's not really good at damage, so I just kind of mod her to stay alive. I don't even care about her turns, so like I don't think you really need a lot of speed on her. We're going to talk about modding in a second. But first, I want to talk about Omicron Order, Zeta Order. First, Relic Order. It's kind of irrelevant to talk about Relic Order in some respects because IG12, Paz, and Mando are all required at Relic 7 to get her, which is a great place to be. Where on my main account, I still have IG at Relic 7. Paz is at Relic 9, but that was a very much a later thing I did. Bam is at R8. I'm pretty sure I only did that for like fleets or something, or I don't know. And Bo-Katan, then once you unlock her, you just go for her. So I'd say as soon as you unlock her, you want a Relic Bow. Bo-Katan Kryze is, you know, maybe using a Rhodium token. You want her at a decently serviceable spot. You don't really need to go much above 6 or 7, though. I really wouldn't. She's not a Relic 8 candidate in my mind. You want her to be able to use Datacrons and not die right away from bad deltas. The Relic Order is kind of irrelevant. As far as the Zetas, that's a more interesting question to answer. So we have like 10 Zetas or something on this team. 9, I guess. I would honestly go with IG12 and Grogu's first. So their Zeta is the random assists for specials. So that's really core to the identity. You still will get assists on the basic, but that is actually very important to have that. So I would actually go there first, which is surprising because usually you have one of the journey guide characters, Zetas first. The second Zeta I'd apply is Bo-Katan's Mass Swarm, because this is allowing them to attack twice instead. This is quite a lot more damage for the team. And then the third Zeta would actually be Bo-Katan's basic. Or no, not her basic. It's her special. If she's debuffed, deal true damage again, which can be evaded, or reduce the cooldown of the abilities by 1. This ability by 1. So that's pretty nice. Her last Zeta, I would actually hold off a bit. And I would actually do pauses first. I like this one. So the protection up and the retribution and more damage for each stack of overheat. I think that's more consequential than Bo-Katan's lead Zeta. So go for that. And then honestly, his other special next. The Zeta it's all the turn meter gain. It's the resilient defense at the start. And it's the spite move, which we already talked about. So that's what's giving him a huge attack at the end. The thing about that is why you might want to put it off is you mainly use Bo-Katan on offense, and you mainly want to choose battles where you're going to be in the driver's seat and winning, in which case that spite move would never come into play. It's more of an annoyance for defense, but you don't see Bo-Katan on defense a whole lot. Then her lead Zeta I would go with, it is the whenever an ally attacks an enemy with armor shred, tank allies taunt, light side Mando allies gain 5% defense. So it's not hugely impactful. I honestly might go for Bam's Zeta next. So you don't care. One of his Zetas is leadership. We don't care about the leadership. It's just not something we're dealing with here. But the bonus turn for falling under 75% health, that's a Zeta. So that's probably, 5th or something, 5th or 6th. And then Bo-Katan, this is a really great Zeta. This is a protection recovery, and that's what's giving you your banners back. The reason I would put it off for so much time is because it's 5v5 only, because you're only using OG Bo in 5v5. You never use her in 3v3. If you do, I guess you could, but you're really passing on a lot of good stuff. So that's the Zeta orders. The Omicron orders, I would go for all of Bo's first, because those are the only ones I've gotten. And I would go with her lead first. This has all kinds of stuff. And max speed, max health, mastery, the taunting at the beginning, for Paz. And then the Revive. And then extra stacks of Ancestral Resolve. Then extra stacks of Ancestral Resolve. So that's a lot of good stuff. A lot of core fundamental stuff for the team. For second Omicron, I would do the Unique. This makes her immune to Daze. And she ignores Taunt on the team and gains, whenever an ally is defeated for the first time, she gets 20% of the max health and offense till the end of the battle. Which is a good deal considering the first one will be revived. So you kind of almost hope the first one down is like, I don't know, Bam or something. It usually isn't. But you get his offense, and that would be great. Last Omicron, not a huge priority. I went without it for a long time on my main account, and I don't think I have it on my Gotenks account. You get 2 extra stacks of Ancestral Resolve, and if another ally wasn't able to assist, they get a bonus turn. So, like, if they're dazed, if they're stunned, if they're feared or something, if they're controlled, they get to have a bonus turn and kind of get out of that. So that's pretty nice. And if you really want to go with the non-GAC Omicrons, I think IG12s is okay for TW, but I don't think this team is used that much in TW. It's not exactly the best Lord Vader counter without the Great Arena Omicrons, but it is decent. Whenever someone loses all protection the first time, IG12 gets a bonus turn, resets the cooldown of their This is the Dispel, the targeted assist. And then call an additional ally whenever they use a special and gain additional effects. So you're not only calling one ally to assist randomly, you're calling 2. So that's an okay TW Omicron, but probably don't advise it. I also don't advise TB Omicrons. There's a special mission on Mand'alor. I've never done it. But Pauses gives him some extra max health, max protection. He gets resilient defense more easily. There's all these things he gets when an enemy is revived, which I guess happens pretty frequently in TB. He gets extra stacks of heat, extra resilient defense, extra turn meter, recovers health and protection, and then healing meter at all enemies. This is really, I think, really only whales that have so many Omicrons I don't know what to do with them. That's like the only people that apply that. There's not too many applied, so bottom of the barrel. I think you are just fine with 2 Omicrons in this team for the most part, and most people will be fine with that. Now for the modding, we're going to look at my modding, then Swigget.gg modding, and then encounters list and stuff. So my bow, I have a decent amount of health. I actually have a lot of speed for bow. I have over 300. And then mostly offense. I am really focused on offense. So offense primaries, squeezing in offense secondaries wherever I can. So I flat in percentage here, percentage there. This one's, a bit of an outlier because I don't have any extra offense there, but I do have some extra health and it's good speed. This one got some extra health and it's offense as a primary with good speed. So, damage, offense, and then some health and speed. Those 3 are pretty much what you got. IG12 and Grogu, I can honestly slice some of these. I go for speed and health. That's mainly what I go for. This one has 5 speed already. This one is already maxed out. And has been calibrated quite a bit. I have a lot of calibration mats actually. This one has been calibrated quite a bit. This one, let's try to level it up and get a little bit more. I am short on mats now, but yeah, speed and health is mainly what I go for. Pause. So I don't know. I think just hit points. I mean, health is better. I do have a little bit of extra protection on him just because he has such a high base protection. I don't have a ton of speed on him. He randomly gets turn meter. I didn't mod him much for offense. I mainly just want him as a tank. And there's plenty of room for extra speed on him. I just kind of slap down stuff on him because I don't know. I think I don't have the best modded pause. I just kind of gave him some hit points and he's pretty tanky. That's like over 270,000 hit points. Bam, I mod for offense mainly. There's some speed, some health, but mainly offense. I can honestly probably get a good bit more offense. Because this one, I don't have an offense primary. I probably should go for it, and I do have speed here. So maybe he's not the best. I want him taking some turns. Once upon a time, I really loaded him up with offense, but I've kind of deprioritized him, honestly. And then Bo-Katan, OG, just give her some health and protection. I don't really care about her speed. I gave her defense set. I'm kind of like, whatever. I even gave her a protection arrow, because she's flimsy to start with. And that doesn't give you much. A health arrow might even be better, but I just don't want her to die. I don't really care about her taking turns. I don't care about her doing damage because she doesn't do a lot of damage. She's just there for her unique, pretty much. And now let's see how other people mod. But I guess real quick before I look at all that, I haven't talked about any other light side Mandos. I don't think you go for any others. Sabine, no. Mando, no. Sabine, others Sabine, no. Armor is the only one that sometimes people use. You're going to get a mass swarm, which is this. Or you're going to inflict armor shred and call all Mandalorian allies. And allies with Beskar armor and get to assist. There's uses for that. I mean, I just don't do it. I care so much about the protection recovery. You also have the Beskar armor. People, I feel like for the longest time, I've used armor as a random plug and play with like Sith Eternal or something. They get, some extra Beskar ingots, from people losing turn meter. The armor shred and the mass assist is quite good, and then the ingot, it is good. You're just kind of left without a lot of... You're getting less protection and less protection recovery. But, it's an option. It's just one I don't really use myself. I can't speak a lot to it. So here we are on Swig.GG. This is the top 1,000 players from Kyber are sampled for this, and that's what's showing. So I am part of that sample. Almost 93% of players use an offense set as their primary, and then 80% use health. That is what I'd recommend. So arrow, 50% use speed, 48% used offense. I think I used offense, right? Yeah, I just had good speed. So if you can manage it, whatever is going to get you the highest combination of the two. So if you have a lot of offense percentage secondaries on a speed arrow, that's probably an easy call because you cannot get 32 speed on the secondaries. Triangle, we got offense. We got 83% of players using health, and then 94% almost using offense and a little bit using health. It's a pretty easy call. And then we have the average stats of those players. Next for IG12 and Grogu, 77% using a speed set, 10% are using triple health. But most people are using a secondary set of health if they're doing speed set. So you want speed on the arrow, and then health is a pretty common consensus. Although on the cross, there is a fair amount of people using potency, and then some using protection. But on a circle, 83% towards one stat is a pretty dominant majority. But you want them to take turns, and you want them to get and to have like a lot of hit points. So I think mine is a little bit slow. I could probably use some extra speed, whereas my Bo-Katan is pretty fast. Paz, 40. This is a pretty fair split. Like the most common setup, 40% of players using triple health. That is not a crazy majority. I have like a combination of health and defense sets. 15% of people are using an offense set. I think it's more of like if you're having them on defense, because it's really only his spike move that's the big damage. 57% are using a speed arrow. Plenty using health and protection. So that is a pretty split majority, because I kind of consider health and protection as two sides of the same coin. It's like durability. Very split on the triangle, health and protection. So this is kind of what I feel justified in being agnostic about health and protection for him, because he kind of makes use of both. Health and protection as close to a flat, even split on the circle as I've ever seen. So you can't really go wrong. And then same with the cross. 44% protection, 42% health. Protection's a little easier to get the max value out of. You don't have to have it 6 dots to get the greatest value. So if you're short on mods, go for protection, I'd say. Yeah. And bam. 76% are using offense. 10% are using a speed set. And then a lot of people are using kind of a more than half using a health set as that secondary set. Good amount of people using speed. People are not sacrificing offense or speed just for offense. Only 14% of people are using offense on the arrow. But the triangle, pretty high majority, 85% for offense. Circle, a lot of people using protection, which is a little surprising to me. I'm not sure exactly why. Not saying it's bad, but I don't know why it's such a big majority. And then cross, 84% using offense. So kind of load up on offense. I probably need to touch up my mods. They're not the best. And then Bo-Katan Kreese, they're the most common mod set is crit damage, or just like major mod set for 20%. Speed is 18%. This is so split, and it's because her mods don't really matter. People have speed. I don't know why people are doing crit damage on her. I guess because she does vulnerable. If she's doing good damage, I am just completely oblivious to it. I always see her damage as pitiful amounts. Maybe it's because my mods suck. But I just want her to stay alive. Protection. People are using offense primarily, but there's it's a very small plurality. 39% are using offense, 26% using protection, 18% potency, 10% health. So I don't know. Her average speed is 234, so I don't think other people care about her speed either. Her average offense is, her physical damage is 6,700 plus 14. I don't know what this plus 80 is. That all the people are not giving her any extra offense? Is that really, it's just that little? I don't know. But I don't think her mods really matter much one way or the other. So what does Bo-Katan Mand'alor beat on offense? And I think the best value, this is mainly High Kyber. This Kyber 1, 2, and 3. She can beat Lord Vader. That's the main Galactic Legend she beats. It's only 60%, but I think the true value of Bo is being a big threat to a lot of various teams you might see on defense. 96%, again, I'm going to just select Bo-Katan Kryze there to limit the options. 96% I got Gotenks, so that's really solid. 99% against Dark True getting 83% versus Great Mothers, which is pretty good. 64% versus Reva. And Reva, in this season, just know, they had a really overpowered Datacron, so it's still pretty good. 99% for Alvarez. 87% against Cobb Vanth, who is the newest Conquest unit, and a lot of people were excited to use. Just, you go down the line, and good options for a lot of stuff. Omega. Great counter when other great teams like Queen Amidala struggle because we're doing a lot of targeted true damage. Maz, a little more challenging, 48%. And then Baylan has some difficult time. But there's a lot of different teams they just beat. Afra, even with IG90 in there. Tarful, who's kind of coming around. We have Yoda and Chewie there. Like, the true damage is really useful. Tarkin. You can beat JMK. It's kind of difficult, but you don't see it that much on offense. Can beat Java. Wouldn't really advise it. Could beat Saw. You could beat Gas. It's just a very great utility team on offense. On defense, the most common counter used is Treya. That's 87%, which is not bad, honestly. And the vast majority are using just Bo-Katan Kryze as the 5th. Satil. Anything with targeted, a lot of true damage as well. Because Bo herself, like, if you're using Satil, I would honestly just mark down Bo, because you're doing so much true damage. Because she has so much defense to start. People use Sith Eternal, they use JML, these Great Mothers. It's an okay defensive team. They use Malicos, Baylan, Reva. There's stuff for it. It's primarily an offensive beast though. And now let's go for an example. I'm going to use one from one of my recent Gotenks Grand Arenas. So here we go. This is on the Gotenks account. Recently, I did use a Datacron that is just a lot of survivability is basically what I had. Let's make this 1440. But I have Relic 8 on my bow. Just the 2 Omicrons, like I said. 7 on BAM, 7 on Paz, 7 on IG12 and Grogu, and only 4 on Bo-Katan Kryze. So this is basically out the box. Unlocked bow and just got her to Relic 8. But we're facing a full Relic 9 Lord Vader team, which is kind of ideal to demonstrate. We got R8 on Lord Vader himself. But basically, I think my approach to going to Lord Vader, and this is a very common approach, you get in the poop stance. Even I got triggered there for a bonus turn. And this is where I kind of messed up a little bit. I went into the poop stance to try and I was hoping I was like, oh good, he's going before BAM or Bo-Katan, even though my Bo-Katan is normally faster. So I was like, okay, I can load up and do a big hit. But where I messed up and where I talked about when I was going over the kits, this can happen. You go into the stance too early, you get another bonus turn, and then he's attacking with 8, and it's not really going to do anything. Bo-Katan Mand'alor here really needs a lot of help because OG Bo needs a lot of help because she's only Relic 4. But this is kind of a waste of a Whistling Birds. So I hit Sky's Clone Trooper, barely did anything there. Usually my opening move is this. I was forced to target Scorch, which is unfortunate, and I put that on IG because they have Order 66, which is no bueno. So going for Disguise Clone Trooper first, I prefer, because they do that massive damage on enemies with Order 66. And you saw I did that second special first with Paz to get the Retribution. Did my AoE with Bo-Katan Mand'alor, or OG Bo. And I just put the Armor Shred on Lord Vader, because he's going to be the ultimate target. And you don't really want to waste a lot of time on Scorch. So at this point, I'd go straight at Lord Vader. And if you have a chance with the Whistling Birds, you make a judgment call whether you go for CX2 or Lord Vader. But at this point, it's kind of just all in on Lord Vader. We have a good shot to take him out pretty quickly. I think I got lucky in this one because OG Bo is so weak. If they had Disguised Clone Trooper, she'd be dead because they'd be assisting. I don't know how she stayed alive there. I think she is going to survive because we got around to that move, dispelled everybody. We got all the assists to heal up. And Lord Vader's weak, so Bam came in and finished off. And at this point, you just pick them apart. So you cannot kill Apo while Lord Vader's alive. Scorch is basically as hard or harder to kill compared to Lord Vader himself. So it's kind of an easy call. But I do think killing Disguised Clone Trooper first is a good move. I'm sure some might have different opinions on things, but look at this. I've been attacking Scorch so long, he still hasn't lost his purple. So yeah, don't waste time on Scorch if you're doing this counter. But this worked out pretty good. I mean, that's a full R9 team. I do not have a full R9 team. I don't have anyone R9. I only have one R8. And it worked out really well. Even with the Relic 4 OG Bo. I don't recommend Relic 4. I'd recommend like at least 6 or something. To just keep her alive. But she's the last priority. And yeah, we're about to clean up here. Bo's coming in. She might have her mass swarm. I'm pretty topped off here. Everyone's health and protection is great. But that is that. That was a perfect win. So this is kind of the textbook example I wanted to show. This is Grand Arena setting. I can't go into Squad Arena. We still have Squad Arena as of today. I can't go into Squad Arena and show the Omicron's active. Even if we have the testing mode, I won't be able to do that. So just wanted to show this. But it kind of goes the same for anyone you're working with. You pick you kill order. You go for it, and you be careful with the Whistling Bird stance. So yeah. So that's going to be it. What do you think about the Bo-Katan team? Judging by the interest I've had in my unlock guide, it's a frustrating unlock, but it's a really popular character to go for. I highly recommend it. One of the most efficient farms out there because 3 of the 4 requirements are just putting her own team together. And she solves a lot of problems for you as an up-and-coming player in this game, especially in Grand Arena. So yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope this helps. Bye.